Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where today we're talking MSO Cerulean Blue as I'm going to take the Senna out to go and be reunited with my former McLaren 675 LT Coupe. I think one of the most standout Shmeemobiles, which is now up for sale at Bramley. You might remember when I went out to Bramley a year ago or so to buy my GTC4 Lusso, which in fact was previously owned by the same chap who bought the 675 LT Coupe from me and is now selling it a few years on. Of course, the specification for my Senna was very much inspired to match that of the 675 LT. They have been together on one occasion before, which was the collection day of this car at the McLaren factory a year and a half ago. Well, today they're going to be back side by side at Bramley. I can't wait. It's a very special car to me. I'm hoping it's going to find a new home in the not too distant future. But for today, let's take out the Senna for a bit of a drive over to Bramley to see my old 675 LT. The story of this colour for me actually goes back now more than 6 years ago to when I collected my first McLaren. Back in January 2014, I picked up an MP4 12C, which was painted in carbon black, but from the very first day, I had it wrapped in my favourite colour, a gloss metallic bright blue vinyl that we actually nicknamed Shmee Blue, and later on I would discover that it was a near-on perfect match for MSO Cerulean Blue. In fact, a couple of months into ownership, I headed out to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium to go and join the pure McLaren experience, and it was there that also a P1 was attending that was actually painted in this colour, and we parked the two cars side by side to have a fantastic opportunity to see how similar they were. A couple of months after that, out at Pebble Beach in California, MSO presented a special edition of the 650S Spider. They would make 50 units, but the launch car just so happened to be presented again in Cerulean Blue. It was at that moment that I decided if I was ever to order a new McLaren, that was the colour it had to be. And fast forward about 6 months and the whispers of the 675 LT Coupe starting and the discussion with the dealership commenced. Now of course, since the 675 LT Coupe, I've had my 675 LT Spider as well, but I went for something different. Now the reason for that, behind the scenes, is that when I owned the 675 LT Coupe, and in fact at the exact same time I was speccing the Spider, I also put in my letter of intent for the next McLaren Ultimate Series car, a track-focused car, codename P15, that has turned out to be the Senna. So I wanted the LT Spider to complement Cerulean Blue on the P15, which is why we went for the deep purple to pay tribute a bit to my R8 Spider, but again, purple, a colour I really like. We added the bright blue metallic flake in the same colour though as the Cerulean Blue, which when you have them side by side looks amazing. Fast forward again though, and here we have it. The Senna is here in the garage in very much a similar spec to the 675 LT. A few things that I changed. For example, I added a navy tint to the carbon fibre, but it also has the stealth wheels, the silver calipers, which were a very expensive option from MSO. To make the paint not have problems with the extra temperatures of these brakes, they charged a pretty penny for those brake calipers to be painted in silver. But again, a tribute to the LT, some blue stitching inside, blue touches, all, as you'll see later on when we have the two cars side by side, very much in sync with one another. So the LT, well, played a huge part in the spec of this car. I've always got on very well with the owner who bought it from me. We've met at many events over time, and in fact, he brought it, like I said, to the McLaren Technology Centre when I picked up this car, which was an awesome day. We've seen each other at Goodwood and a bunch of other things since. And even back when he bought the LT from me was the same time he was speccing this car. So we talked a bit about this back then. It's amazing how these things come around. Anyway, that's enough talk about the history behind it. Let's get the Senna fired up and take it over to Bramley to go and see this 675 LT. First up, a bit of a car park shuffle because we need to get the Senna out and park up the G63. And of course, this is an insane cabin to sit in. Very, very hardcore. But let me take a step inside here. I always forget quite how awkward it actually is to climb into the Senna. It is not daily driver material, we could say, but we do have the start button up on the roof, which is always good fun. So let's press it. And now you can't hear me at all because it's very loud with the exhaust back there in the garage. So I'll shovel this out, park the G up, and then we'll get on the roads. As I make my way out of London, currently in a 50-mile-per-hour section of the motorway, even now at 6th gear though, the thing with the McLaren Senna is that it is so noisy crazy. I basically have to be shouting at the camera or it's impossible for you guys to hear me. We're now in 7th gear, and even here you can tell, as McLaren say, this car is not sanitized for road use. It is so brutal and raw and aggressive, and only really at home on the racetrack because of how much you feel all of the vibrations, you feel the grumble of the engine behind you. If you go over any stones, you hear them all bouncing off the top. It is a bonkers experience. But I'm not gonna lie, I am looking forward to getting to Bramley to see the 675 LT. Like I said, I haven't seen it for 18 months, and this is a very special car to me. It was the first supercar that I ordered from new, that I did the specification, chose all of the options, had the anticipation, the weight and the collection, and the experience of taking it for the first drive, the first road trip. But you might remember back then, McLaren were only going to make coupe versions of the 675. It was after they started delivering them that they then decided to introduce the Spider, which is where I was torn. Do I keep the coupe? Do I change later to the Spider? And I decided to go for the Spider. I have no regrets about that because I'm hoping, of course, that this car was going to follow. But the coupe did go to a new home. I don't think it's going to come back to my garage, but you never know when I get to see it now. Anyway, let's get out of this roadwork section, out towards countryside to some rural roads, and go check out the 675 over at Bramley. I am arriving then here at Bramley Motorcars, where inside somewhere up there we will find the car. So fortunately this car has an insanely good lift system, so even bumps like this aren't too much of a problem, but you feel quite how stiff it is. It's like a solid plank. Alrighty, here we are, Bramley Motorcars. Where is the LT? Is it there? Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Right, let me park this up. Oh, that's really cool. You'll see it in a sec. The Senna is parked up here then, but have a look at what we've got back there. The 675 LT Coupe is sitting inside the showroom. We're going to pull it out in just a moment, but look here, some amazing cars as well. At the back you can just spot the 599 GTO. In front of it we've got a Vanquish, a 612, there's a Dino tucked in there, the Speciale Aperta. As always, some amazing cars here at Bramley, and it was right here that my Ferrari GTC4 Lusso was parked just about a year ago when I came to collect that. But look at this, the cerulean blue LT. We'll get it fired up and pull it outside in just a moment to have that right alongside the Senna, reunited again. But seeing this is really special. Let's hear the roar as it comes into life, pull it outside and get these two right alongside one another. Listen to that rumble, it sounds so good. The LT has such a deep, raucous noise to it, a very different sound to the 4-litre engine found in the Senna, but that is going to emerge out into the sunshine in just a moment. Of course, the colours are identical. The two colours, it was an already defined paint by MSO before I went for it on this car, but this was the first 675 LT to be painted in it, and look at that! Look at that! It's stunning, and these two side by side, oh my gosh, this is genuinely amazing. This is genuinely amazing. I hope somebody's going to pick this up before long because, yeah, I mean, it's such a good looking McLaren. This is really, really nice. For old time's sake, let's go through the spec of the car. It is of course for sale here at Bramley, but look at this, cerulean blue with all of the carbon fibre options. In fact, the car has a very high specification. The exterior has all of the carbon you could get, from the front splitter, the end plates, the mirror caps, the side skirts, the aero vents, all the diffuser around the back as well. You could have that in satin or gloss. I went for the satin against the bright blue paintwork. We've got the stealth wheels, the ultra lightweight wheel option. I always thought this was one of the best looking wheel designs actually for a supercar. We've got the polished calipers. You can't get them polished on the Senna, as I mentioned earlier, to do with the paint and the temperatures that they get. Obviously the carbon ceramic discs that we've got behind, I think those calipers are really cool. The same I had on my 650S Spider before. As we come round towards the back, in here you've got the titanium exhaust, of course the 3.8 litre twin turbo V8, 675 horsepower. Look at this, look at the back of this car. Still a little bit of blue. They actually go back towards the bronze colour when you haven't driven the car all that much, and it's now done about 9,000 miles or so in total. But the rear end of this is one of the best looking cars actually, I think, in the modern era. And now the paintwork in the sun, it is spectacular. Of course, I had the car from new, completely protected with Topaz paint protection film. Let's come and have a look at the interior as well. Let's go through some of the options that we've got in there. But lots of MSO, small touches, and I know this works because we just tested it. Always a little bit nerve-wracking when you open a door that close, but we've got the cerulean blue stitching, the same stitching that I have in the Senna. We've got the handling and powertrain toggles in the centre, painted in cerulean blue as well. We've got a few other touches. We've got the embroidery, the 675 embroidery up on the headrests. Of course, the bucket seats, all the carbon as well on the interior. I mean, this is a very special car for me. It's amazing to see it again here. I'm just, well, I would love to add it back. We've got soft close on the doors. Love to add it back to my collection. I just couldn't justify it myself while I still had the LT Spider and the Senna. I think I would be more pushed towards adding something, well, a different type of car, but this, I mean, it's beautiful, and I hope it's going to find a new home very, very soon where it can be continued to be enjoyed and hopefully to be reunited again in the future, perhaps with the 675 Spider as well. Yeah, I love this. It's really cool. I think before I leave, I need to take a seat inside to be reminded, for old time's sake, to sit on board the 675 LT. So swing on in. Oh, this is really nice inside here, and that was a good spec choice, if I say so myself. Obviously, the Coupe has so much more space behind than the Spider, having that rear parcel shelf in front of the engine bay view, where the Spider has the carbon backrest right behind the seats. Inside here, though, it was spec'd very highly. The upgraded sound system, that was an option. The track telemetry camera system, so you've got the track cameras up here and on the rear and front bumpers as well, which can all be saved through McLaren track telemetry and the software. They introduced it for this car. 675 LT, limited to 500 cars. This is number 70. Yeah, it's nice sitting back in here. Many memories of, well, my first drive with it. I picked it up from the dealer, went for a quick once around the block, stuck it in a trailer and took it all the way down to the south of Germany and then drove it through in the snow through the Alps to Italy. That was my first drive back in October 2015. Many fond memories. And I tell you, the more time I'm spending around it, the more I would love to add it back to my garage. Before I say farewell then to the LT for today, one very random thing but quite topical considering we've got the two cerulean blue cars and the Senna here, is to show you the socks that I'm currently wearing. The heel tread Shmee 150 Senna socks, cerulean blue, navy blue carbon. I'll pop the link to those down below if you're interested, and I will of course also put the link to Bramley's website if you'd like to find out more about the 675 LT, but I'm very, very happy to have seen that car today. Amazing. All right, heading back into the showroom. Look at this car. Lift system up, just to go over the little bumps. Lift system, four-wheel lift in the 675, as in the Senna, of course. Proper off-roader when it's up, and currently sitting on a normal set of road tyres as opposed to the Trofeo R's, which are the more track-orientated tyre. This is the regular P0. So, I guess we shall say farewell then to the 675, and I shall jump back on board the Senna to continue my journey back towards the garage. The route that I've taken today has not had as many lovely roads as I wanted to drive with the Senna, but you can hear all of the noises in the background. This thing is such an extreme experience. Every time you take it out, it is so crazy. You just have to shut up a little bit when you put your foot down because your brain is kind of trying to work out what's happening. And yes, short shifting, driving gently. I've said it before, this is just too fast for the public road to do anything. 6,000 RPM and you're kind of done. The red line's up towards 8, but you can't really get there. You can't really use it. Anyway, it is a bit of a cruise, but I have enjoyed driving the car. I do enjoy it every time, and it is, like I've said, because I'm not driving it all the time, that makes it so enjoyable. And there are times to drive it in anger before you say stop driving the car so gently. Like I've said, it's too fast for the road. I've driven this car on the Nürburgring Nordschleife with the Nürburgring GP, 2 days at Spa, and I'm sure in the future it will do more things as well. And that is where a car like this can be driven hard. Not here. You just can't. You just can't do it. Anyway, let's head back home then. It's been amazing to see the LT, and yeah, I guess hopefully it's going to be an uneventful journey back. And back where I began, parked up here in the garage then. Time to lock the car, pop it back under a cover for the time being. One thing that actually changed going into the Senna is when you lock it, how you get the indicators that just come on solidly. The single, that's when you unlock it, it blinks, and when you lock it, they just come on with one long, solid amber light. Back on the days of the 675, they used to blink. You got this crazy kind of light show as they blinked from one side to the other, which was always really cool. Obviously my Spider does that. But taking the Senna out every time is a memorable drive. This thing is so extreme to experience. Just the rawness and craziness of this car. And I mean, the 675 LT was really McLaren's first I guess, foray into a more hardcore version. The 12C, the 650S, of course they had the P1, but that was a slightly different package, being a hybrid hypercar. The 675 LT kind of took the 650S and stripped it out, made it more hardcore, made it more dramatic, made it more lively, made it more dynamic, and they were absolutely onto a winner with it. It's a fantastic car to drive, as everybody who's ever been behind the wheel will proclaim as well. Anywho, a fun outing in the Senna. Great to see the 675 LT. As I said earlier, for the time being, I don't think I could justify repurchasing, buying it back for the garage, so to speak. Obviously, in a world of unlimited money, I would love to do so, but I'm lucky to own the cars that I do, and having recently purchased the SLS Black Series, I think it would be a bit frivolous. Anyway, fingers crossed, it will end up with somebody who's going to enjoy it very, very soon. For today, though, big thanks to Bramley, and thank you, of course, to you guys for watching, as always. I appreciate your support an awful lot, but that's it for now, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!